A new boss has arrived in old school RuneScape, and that boss is the Nightmare of Ashihama. This boss offers a fight similar to the Corporeal Beast, and that it is a team-based encounter, except this one has a few more mechanics. This video isn't about the boss itself though, it's about the drops that the boss provides. With the boss came some new armor, which offers crush accuracy bonus and a strength bonus that matches Bandos. Alongside this was a mace that's similarly statted to the Grazi Rapier and Blade of Saeldor, except it has crush damage instead of slash or stab. In addition to this, a new staff called the Nightmare Staff was added, and 3 different orbs are also dropped that you can attach to the staff to give it special effects. The staff itself is pretty strong and rivals the stats of a Staff of the Dead, as well as having the ability to autocast Ancients. But the effects of the orbs are what make it really powerful. The Volatile Orb offers a high damage special attack, the Eldritch Orb offers a special attack that returns prayer, but the one this video is about is the Harmonized Orb. This allows the staff to fire 1 tick faster while on the normal spellbook, meaning it goes from a 5 tick to a 4 tick, and it removes the initial autocast delay. To make a long story short, this staff can be used with a Tome of Fire and Fire Surge to provide insane amounts of damage at the same speed as a Trident or a Sang Staff. So I want to try and buy it because I really want to see how this is going to function in the game. I'll be testing this out in several locations and several PVM bosses just as soon as I'm able to buy it. This video is probably going to be expensive, so I really hope I don't regret it. Okay, so the update actually just came out. I'm going to do my best to try to just put in what I think are reasonable offers for these items. I don't really know what the drop rates are going to be. I don't think anyone has any idea. But I don't see this stuff ending up being that expensive. Hopefully I don't eat those words. This seems fine. I don't know, man. It's just a complete first guess. I'm just gonna wing it. I figured while I was waiting for the items to come into the game and people inevitably to put them in the Grand Exchange, that I would go and just kill the boss for a while. And I mean a while. I killed the boss for about 3 hours, give or take, learned most of the mechanics, and then got really comfortable with it fairly quickly. So after that, I decided to go back to the Grand Exchange because I'd become pretty impatient. I was perusing Reddit this whole time, and a lot of the items hadn't really been showing up yet, and I wasn't even sure if a lot of them were in the game at all. I really wanted to be the first one to make a video like this, so I decided to spend a little more money than my original budget.
Jesus.
Are you serious?
That's a lot of money.
Oh god, it bought! Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna regret this. I'm committing now. Oh, God.
Imagine not getting a staff.
I'm committing now. Oh, I'm gonna lose so much money.
It doesn't. It
Are you serious, bro? What?
The number's already there. All you have to do is click confirm.
Oh my god, are you serious? So at this point, I honestly didn't really know what to do. I had bought the Harmonized Orb for 1 bill, which was already a lot of money and a lot more than I expected to spend. And the Nightmare Staff wasn't buying for max cash, meaning that literally nobody was selling it on the Grand Exchange. Now, there were Nightmare Staffs in the game because I had seen a couple on Reddit and I was constantly trying to contact people who were in the know about this kind of stuff. The first one apparently sold for 1 bill. However, I couldn't buy one for max cash. After a while, I decided to just leave an offer in the Grand Exchange because I had to go actually file my taxes. So I went and did that for a couple hours, and then I came back. Dude, I'm so sorry guys, I didn't even record it. I just got back from my tax appointment. Nightmare Staff bought, I left it in for a little over an hour, and it bought for 1.1 bill. So I'm probably gonna lose so much money making this video, so I really hope you guys like it because I just spent pretty much max cash buying this stuff on day of release. That's rough, but it'll be worth it. This is gonna be a good video. Okay, so the scariest part about all this, first of all, am I still on 302? I am. Let's get the heck off of this world. The scariest part about all this is I don't know what's gonna happen if I combine the orb and the staff. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to take them apart again. I don't know if this is gonna make this untradeable. I mean, I just don't know. It's the first time I think anyone's probably actually made one of these. So, let's do it. See if we get a warning. Add the orb to the staff. Yes. Oh, that's it. Can I dismantle? Remove the orb from the staff? Ah, there we go. Question answered. You can remove them. You know, you're good. It looks really freaking silly. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of looks like I'm just carrying a vial of water on a stick. Now, before we get started, I jumped over to my POH so I could show you guys the max hits. I'm going to be comparing this to the Saying Staff. This is the gear I'm wearing. This is the highest mage strength I can get. We're just going to test this out. So this is the Saying Staff with no imbued heart, 39. And this is the Saying Staff with a Slayer task, no imbued heart, 43. Not bad. And then with the bonuses of the imbued heart, I'm able to hit a 43 without the Slayer helm on, and a 48 with a Slayer helm. One thing that I mentioned earlier that I feel like is relevant to mention again is that the Nightmare Staff, no matter what orb it has, will give you a 15% magic damage bonus. So this is actually pretty nice. Like I said, it does rival the Staff of the Dead. So let's go ahead and check our max hits with this. The Imbued Heart doesn't actually affect max hits when you're not using a Trident or a Saying Staff. It doesn't affect it for specifically regular spells anyway. So we're going to go ahead and test our max hit off task. 49, okay, pretty good, and you can see the faster attack speed right there. And on task, we hit a 54. As I just mentioned, increased magic levels actually are pretty relevant for using things like the Trident or the Saying Staff. However, in Chambers, you get an overload. So the max of the Saying Staff is actually a decent bit higher than I can test in my POH when you're in Chambers. I'm not really sure if this staff is going to be worth it just for that reason alone, but I'll try and find some uses for it. We'll go kill some random monsters with it and just see how it functions. We'll do a solo run. We'll see if that goes well. We'll just try all this out. The first boss I decided to try was actually Zoeller. Now the reason for this is because, well, you mage Zoeller a lot. So by using this staff, you do actually sacrifice the ability to use Vengeance, since you can't be using Vengeance on the normal spellbook. But as you can see, this thing freaking destroys. Dude, this is my first kill. My very first kill. And it just did so much damage right there, man. The kills were actually extremely consistent. I did about 25 kills, and this alone was one of my slower ones, actually. And it ended up at this time right here. Yeah, you saw that right. A little bit over a minute 20 was actually one of my slower kills. Absolutely none of the kills that I had, and I did about 25 kills, were over 90 seconds long. None of them. And 25 kills might not be the biggest sample size, but I feel like that's a pretty fair sample size to show that this staff is incredibly powerful here. So I am super, super happy when testing it, and this was one of my best kills. I'm just going to leave the whole thing playing because it is ridiculously fast. And I don't know, man, it's just very, very satisfying. Holy. Alright, that was pretty good. Oh, 50. Oh my god. That's 1 second off my PB, bro. So, Staff at Zoeller, pass or fail? 100% pass. This thing absolutely destroyed Zoeller. There were no slow kills whatsoever in my testing, and it was really fun, actually. Watching the massive hits was a really big change of pace to just using a regular Trident or a Saying Staff here. I really enjoyed it. And if this thing goes down in price, I could see people, especially those who are pet hunting, maybe using this here. You guys probably hear this a lot, but this video is going to cost me a ton of money. So if you're enjoying it, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a like and a comment. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you click subscribe as well. I asked on Twitter when I first bought the staff if anyone had any ideas of places I might not have thought of. Thank you to Thurko for suggesting this. Dagonoth Rex. I can't believe that I didn't think of this, because this kind of goes against what I said earlier as well. This is definitely a place you will be using magic frequently. You have to use magic on Dagonoth Rex. And on top of that, this is a place that a lot of people will be using magic on task. So the Slayer Helm is relevant here. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't pick up a Slayer task, so bear in mind that if you are doing DKs with this staff on task, you will be hitting not only more accurately, but 15% higher max hits as well. Here we go. The true test. You guys do have to keep in mind that I am not on task, so it's kind of gonna be a bit worse than you would actually expect it to be, but it's hitting alright. Not super amazing, actually, so far. Oh, never mind. That's probably... yeah, okay. I take it back. It's gross. Initial thoughts. For being off task, this is hitting pretty well. However, I can't be on Ancients, which means I don't get Blood Barrage, which means no healing from that. And since I'm using this, I'm not using a Saying Staff, which means I'm not getting heals from that either. So for healing, I'm pretty much purely relying on food drops and my SGS spec. I don't know how comfortable I am with that, so I guess we'll see how it goes as this short trip plays out. Rex number 2, already going better than the first one. I don't know why I was flicking Augury here, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I was doing it because if you look at my HP, I wasn't full and I had no spec, so I kind of wanted to be a little bit on the defensive side. To be fair, I guess I am comparing what I'm seeing right now to what I normally would be seeing on task, which isn't necessarily a fair comparison because I don't really come to DKs very much off task. At least I haven't in a long time. I mean, my KCs at this boss are really high, but I don't really play my main very often, so it's been a while since I've like actually been back here. Kind of alluding to what I was saying earlier, this seems like one of the biggest downsides to using the staff is that I'm getting royally screwed. My HP is super low, I have no food, and I'm just purely relying on my SGS specs to keep me alive until I get a food drop right now. I don't think this is going to be all that good here, even though the damage is super high. It just doesn't seem super sustainable. Maybe I'm just getting unlucky on food drops though. We'll see if it turns around on the trip. Yes, Swordfish. That's actually such a godsend, bro. Looking at this from a purely DPS standpoint, the staff absolutely wrecks. I mean, like, it does tons of damage. Like, you can see right here, it absolutely destroys. I think my first few kills were flukes because this really does do a whole lot of damage. So if you're willing to rely on the food drops, or you're willing to maybe bring a Saying Staff switch or have an alt bring you food, then yeah, maybe it is worth it. Alright. Okay. Nice. Take that. Why not? You know, a little... Help me, recover some of the cost of this damn thing. That's gorgeous, bro. Sharks. Alright, maybe sustaining isn't as hard as I thought. I mean... I have gotten a lot of food drops, so... Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is actually really possible with the food drops you get. Unless you get fairly on the unlucky side. I'll take it back. You know what? I was wrong. I think that this is actually very sustainable and possible to be decent. And more food. Proving my point, I guess. No! What? I turned off my prayer early by accident. And, well, not really by accident. I thought it was dead. What the heck, bro? Alright. Definitely starting to recoup some of the cost of what I'm gonna lose selling this shit back. Alright, last kill here. Feel like this was a decent test. I got my opinion of this. I mean, like I said, obviously this is not going to be like a conclusive test. It's not that many kills. But, not bad. It's not bad at all. Rock shell legs to end it off too. Why not? We'll take that. I mean, look. I got 2 rings while I was here, which is nice. But I think my overall conclusion is pretty much similar to what I said earlier. It's very, very strong and does a lot of damage. But unless you're willing to take the risk of maybe not having enough food or maybe running out of food, I don't know if it's worth it. That's kind of up to how skilled the personal player is at Dagannoth Kings, but I imagine most people who are buying this are probably going to be pretty good at Dagannoth Kings. Well, I was trying to get a Kraken task, but you know what? Steel Dragons? Let's try it there. Why not? Some people mage Steel Dragons, right? Also, the likelihood of the Kraken task, pretty minimal. I have no points on this account, apparently. I must have used them all for trying to test out tasks for my hardcore or something. Gonna be honest, there's not much to show for this one. I mean, it's a Metal Dragons task. You guys know how Metal Dragons go. It did pretty well, but honestly, it did worse than I expected. I feel like you have much, much better alternatives in using the Dragon Hunter Lance or Dragon Hunter Crossbow, or the best alternative, just don't do Steel Dragon tasks. Start to finish, that task took me 9 minutes. That's pretty nuts. Unfortunately, no Kraken task. However, I do have a friend who is willing to do a couple duo raids with me. I want to do these as duo instead of solo because I want to focus on wearing max gear and just seeing how much damage this can actually do to both Ice Demon and Olm. I decided I would also just use this on Small Muta just to get some extra samples in there because when you're doing a solo, it's pretty common to be switching between chopping the tree and hitting the Small Muta dial. So it does hit really well still, I can say that. It does really, really insane DPS. However, this is where I noticed the first problem, which is brewing down. You don't experience this problem with a Sang Staff or a Trident, but when you brew down, since Fire Surge requires 95 magic, the autocast spell will be removed if your magic drops below that level. So this does cause a little bit of an issue, but so far it's not that big of a problem. However, I can see it being a really big inconvenience on Ulm. Here it is, one of the 2 places I really wanted to test it at, and that is Ice Demon. So my friend Matt is actually just going to run the Ice Demon around the room so that I can stand in the safe spot and just hit it, so we can see just how much damage this is gonna do. I'm pretty excited. I think it's gonna be freaking amazing. Alright, here we go. I'm just more excited than I should be about this. Already, dude. 63? Oh my god. Oh, that's big. 73? What the f- Holy shit, bro. I mean, granted, I'm still splashing a decent amount, but keep in mind, this is a duo. If this was a solo, it would already be dead. I would literally have 3-hit it, and it would be dead. Oh my god. In conclusion, hell yes, dude. This is great for Ice Demon. Like, what the heck, dude? Now the part a lot of people also are going to care about, Ulm. First of all, in my defense, I never do the mage hand. I'm either soloing or doing 3+4s on the melee hand, so I know I'm really, really bad at the mage hand. I'm just not used to it. I apologize. I also may or may not have forgotten to put water runes in my pouch, and for some reason had fire runes, even though obviously the Tome of Fire gives you fire runes. Look, it was a long day. I apologize. However, I did use this on the Ulm hand, and it was pretty strong, but I'm gonna be honest, I really don't think that it's that good. Throughout the course of the entire Ulm, it did a lot of damage, yes. However, it didn't feel good enough to justify using it over a Sang Staff or a Trident, and right there is one of the best examples why. Anytime you brew down, you have to reselect the spell from your spellbook and re-autocast it, which is a bit of a nuisance, to be honest. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, and that might not be that big of a deal to some people, but I found it personally to be extremely annoying, so I don't really think that it's worth it just for that reason alone. One big application for this staff, in addition to just Ice Demon and Ulm in regular solos, that I didn't really address is actually challenge mode raids. Now in challenge mode, people do take an insane amount of switches because, as far as I'm aware, the meta in challenge mode is to basically take as many switches to speed things up as much as possible, since you can do raid prep early on. So I can actually see this making a really, really big difference in challenge mode, since you're forced to fight an Ice Demon every single time. I hadn't really considered that until now, but that's probably one of the bigger applications for this, is speedrunning challenge mode raids. I don't know if this is the right side, by the way, but here we go. Let's see it. Come on, give me a big hit. That's a big hit. That's like a 70. 64. Okay, okay. I want to see some big hits, bro. Come on. Let me see if I can hit higher than a 73. All these splashes still. Low hits, low hits. A decent one. This is not as fast as the last one. Definitely not. Like a 40 maybe. Okay. Decent hits. I want to see another 70 plus, bro. There you go. That's a big hit there. Okay, that wasn't bad. It picked back up at the end. That wasn't terrible. So final thoughts on the Harmonized Nightmare Staff for raids. 100% I can see this being used in challenge mode raids, because you take as many switches as you can to get through things as fast as you can, and you are forced to encounter an Ice Demon every time. So this will probably speed that up on average, especially if you don't land your Warhammer hits. However, I don't see it being used in solos for several reasons, one of which being, most people don't take extra switches to Ice Demon. Maybe in large scaling regular raids that aren't challenge mode, I could see people taking this, But in solos, you usually avoid the Ice Demon anyway, and then solos or group raids, trying to use this on Ulm is just too much of an inconvenience with brewing affecting your ability to actually cast the spell and do DPS. And then on top of that, in solos, you would have to change the way you're normally doing Mage Hand running because casting spells from a spellbook has longer range than using a Trident or a Sang Staff, so you'd have to be doing it more in the fashion of what people were doing during Twisted League. So overall for raids, eh. And now, here's the hard part. Am I going to lose tons of money selling this back? I bought it for 1.1 bill. Try and sell for 1.2. It doesn't sell. Okay, that's rough. I don't really know what to do. The orb I bought for like 1 bill. I will be happy if I can get 750 for it, honestly. I think it's already crashed pretty hard. Shit, I'm gonna lose so much money making this video. So you guys remember when I said that I didn't think that these items were gonna cost too much? This video costed me a lot of money. I bought that orb for 1 bill. Sold it for 750 mil. 250 mil losses there. That's pretty bad. Bought the staff for 1.1 bill, and it hasn't sold yet. I'm gonna try and sell it for 1.2 overnight, and maybe it'll sell. I'm really hoping for that one. But, you know, I'm already down 250 mil because of this video, but it was really fun to make. I always love testing new stuff in the real game and seeing its application, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure you leave a like and a comment because, you know, that'll help soften the blow of losing $250 million gold. And that's assuming I can sell the staff back for the same price I bought it for. Otherwise, it'll probably be like, you know, 500 mil. I really don't want to think about that. But yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, share the video around. I'd really appreciate that a whole lot, guys. It does help me a bunch. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. And feel free to check out the links in the description. You can join my clan chat Dabe. You can join my Discord. I got a couple series running right now, both a hardcore series and a series called Beating the Bot. So if you're new to the channel, check that stuff out. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys next time, where hopefully I'll be able to pick up this Inquisitor gear for cheap and make a video on that too. Peace out, everybody.